So let's kick things off. Since we are alliance here from a lot of different companies, we quickly have to show the antitrust policy. So roughly it says like there could be competitors, so please behave. Agenda for today. Since there will be a couple of new people, I guess, I got told. So let's do a quick reintroduction what this is all about. Then we had 2, 3 agenda items got wished last time, which is deep dive on charge point management system interoperability, then a bit on better error codes, and we took the freedom to interpret the topic a bit wider. So what we understood, it's all about how good does the management system and the charging station understand each other and can find out what's going on and what's going wrong. And then a quick glimpse to the new EVerest 2026 roadmap, which was finalized in end of January. Final is hard word in open source because things evolve. At least this is the official one. And then I would love to deep dive with you in how to work forward together. So let's start with a quick introduction. For those who are new here in the room, EVerest is an open source operating system running on the charging station, managing all the connection in and out of a charge point, which is the car communication, which is hardware drivers, which is payment terminals, user interfaces. It's home energy management system, but it's also connection sometimes to grid operators. And last but not least, the uplink to the CPMS. It's totally free. It's open source. It's hosted by the Linux Foundation Energy, which is a neutral non-profit organization. We have a cross-organization steering committee where people who work quite a bit in the community can be elected to. So it will also change over time. And it's under Apache 2.0 license, which means basically companies can do with what they want with the code, except suing the authors, which is quite nice. And if you contribute something to the code base, you can't sue someone because he's using your donations. So it has some pretty neat industry-friendly policies here. It's super powerful. You can build it with everything from home AC simple chargers to public high-power charging parks. And you can see it here a little bit indicated with that screenshot from our administration panel. You can drag and drop Lego, whatever, cubes together and can wire them up and can give settings to every node. And therefore, you can build a charging station behind the scene. You're creating a configuration file when you do so. And because that's so powerful, we can support a lot of different silicon vendors. We can support a lot of different controller vendors. We can support different component vendors. And last but not least, this is used by quite some different charging station vendors. And also more behind the scenes. Typically, what we see is between someone starting to work with EVerest and publicly endorsing that he's doing so, could be 6 months. It could also be 24 months, depending on the speed of those vendors. EVerest is one of the biggest open source projects in the Linux Foundation. It's roughly 25% of the value of the energy space. Even though it's more than 40 projects, we have quite a big share of the value created, however you measure that. I just took the freedom to take a screenshot from these public tools. We roughly now at around 400,000 charge points in the field. With this number, it's obvious that that's a lot of AC, but there's also DC points in it, and it's really globally distributed. A lot in Europe, but we also have people from India, North America, and I think also some Chinese vendors working behind the scenes on this. It's organized under the umbrella of the Linux Foundation, which is a big non-profit, and itself has a daughter organization, Linux Foundation Energy, which has a governing board towards, let's say, strategy things. That's a technical council, has different working groups. We are part of the Interoperability working group, special interest group, SIG, and within that, it's all projects which happen behind the meter. For example, EVerest, which also has a structure to work on overall topics. There's a couple of subgroups, and the CPO Forum, which is this today, is technically speaking one of the working groups under this umbrella, where people kind of organize with similar interest. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it now? EVerest, so basically to recap, EVerest is a really, really large open source project. We think we solve basically all problems we have in a public charger or the private charger out there. We have a lot of chargers deployed in the field and rapidly growing, work with a lot of vendors, working with basically all the component manufacturers, all the CPMS vendors. There's literally all the car OEMs, one way or another. There's some activity on cross-testing or even driver development. A lot of academia partners, standardization groups, but what's missing so far are the CPOs. Would love to bring them to the table as well. So the concept of a classical user group. So you're the ones who have to live with whatever the vendors and others programming here, and would love to give you a say. And yeah, basically that should be a collaboration space. Benefits are, I think, quite obvious. You can, as a CPO, influence roadmap, influence priorities. You can get early insights, what's going on in EVerest, what are the directions. You get transparency in a lot of the processes here. But we would also love to get your feedback. So you should also contribute here. This should not be too passive. On feedback, on metrics. Yeah, and basically for the vendors who are also partly today in the room, you get all on that side, you see what your potential customers demand, and we can just work together on that. And this should all be, to be clear, on the, so to say, commodity of EV charging. So OCPP, ISO 118, so things everyone needs. Without that, you don't have a product. And with that, you might have a bad product if you do it the wrong way, and we just try to do it together the right way. So maybe as a quick exercise, there's a QR code here on the screen, and I will also share a link with you here into the chat space that people can maybe quickly reintroduce themselves, so that we know who's here and can get a small idea who's in the room. I quickly share. This is how it looks like. If you can do a small introduction of yourself, that we get a good overview. And we maybe can do that in parallel, or we already jump to the next block. Those things will be shared afterwards as meeting minutes. Can also discuss, even this meeting here is recorded, so it's in part of the Linux Foundation infrastructure. We can at the end also discuss if we want to make that publicly available, but at least for the participants, I will share that afterwards. So don't worry, you're not missing much if you don't read every other notes live. So, but let's go back to the slides. And if you have joined the last time already, happy if you reshare your notes, and if you scroll up a bit, and you can also see the notes from last time. Okay, so next is deep dive on CPMS interoperability. That was wished in the last CPO forum, that we're working a bit on that. And the topics we got is we would quickly give you a small glimpse where EVerest and also a bit Pionix is going with CPMS interoperability. So we have a small beta prepared. And yeah, then there's more slides to discuss. Before jumping into the demo, what we built and how we ended up there is Open Charger Alliance. You all probably know, has created the OCDT, the Open Charge Alliance test tool for compliance testing. EVerest, as many others, have tested against that for quite some time, but we also try to automate that from the beginning, so we don't have to run it manually. Then there was recently a call for so-called golden system under test, so a set of reference systems which can apply, which are the default test counterpart for this compliance test tool, and EVerest got selected. And Pionix is hosting this test solution in terms of we have a virtual EVerest charging station together with a virtual car, which can be with a side channel API remote controlled. You can configure it however you like, and Open Charge Alliance is using that for testing their official test setup. But in a way, you could also use OCDT yourself to test your own CPMS system, so that's available from OCA. And what we now would love to offer to more, I think the first of you are already using it from here in the room, make that publicly available, that you can just in the cloud start an EVerest instance and can run it for test cases. A lot of the infrastructure we're using here is open source. You can also build it yourself, but we also know that not everyone can maintain that themselves and has the bandwidth to do so. So we want to offer this for everyone in the community. So let's go into a live demo. Martin, you want to share your screen? Ready?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I'll just share my screen briefly. There we go. All right. Please let me know once you can see my screen.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. So here's just a brief overview of the virtual charge park. So here I've already gone ahead and set up and put in all the EVerest config and the OCP 201 configuration here. So this is just to speed up some of the demo. Here, basically, I'm going to start up my instance, and what we do is we call it scaling, but basically you can scale to 1 or 100 chargers, whatever you want. And once you have this, you can start that specific EVerest instance. So here I did a pretty basic dual connector setup, one with DC, one with AC. And here we're just waiting for the system to start so we can have our little, yep, here we go, the Node-RED UI that some of you may know already. And down here we have the logs from EVerest. And so as we can see here that we are already able to connect to the CSMS. And so basically what you can use this tool for is to simulate your park in a kind of real life environment. So you can try to mimic as close as possible your actual charging stations and see how they would react to certain user actions and things like that. So for example, here, what we can do is let's go ahead and plug in the car. So we can see here now we're waiting for the authorization. And what we can do simply now is swipe the RFID. And then once all of that is done, we're preparing to charge, and then we're going to be going into charging anytime soon. And this can all be seen as well from your CSMS, and then also visible in the logs further below, as you can see, current demand. So we can see that we're doing an ISO session. And what's really powerful here is that here we have it connected to an OCTT instance, and so we could do the same thing and automate it with the APIs and do all of this automatic. Or if you want, you can continue doing it like I am here in a manual fashion. Really, the possibilities are kind of whatever you want it to be. So here we can just stop and unplug the car. Here we go.
Yeah. So the power comes here from, you can just use any EVerest configuration. Ideally,
Exactly.
without hardware dependencies, here you will probably use fake power meters, you will probably use fake power supplies, but everything else is actual production code and actual production instances. So when you, I don't know, for example, have a contract with a charger vendor and you want to try, and the hardware isn't ready yet, but you still want to try out how that future EVerest-based system will behave with your CPMS, you can just start it in the cloud. You can also do load testing, starting like hundreds, parameterizing all that sessions. And if you're not interested in manually clicking it through all the button clicks Martin just did, there's APIs for that, so you can automate them.
Exactly. And so here below, we have just like the brief overview of like this specific configuration that I did. So as you can see, we have some of the more commonly used modules for this software in the loop testing here for like the Yeti simulator, the EV manager, things like that. But you also have the main modules that are used even in production software, the EVSC manager, OCPP somewhere here. Yeah, OCPP, things like that. And then you can always go ahead and configure your OCP 2.1 configurations for any specific type of model you want. So you really can configure it however you need it to be and try to reproduce as close as you can to your actual physical hardware setup.
We just had a question from the chat. So just to be clear, this is not faking a charging station. It's an actual charging station. Most of the modules don't even know that they're running in a fake environment. So only the hardware drivers are fake, but the OCP logic is real. The ISO logic is real. We're talking local host ISO messages to another EVerest module, which fakes a car, but the charging station side of it doesn't realize that the car is faked. It speaks really local ISO messages, -2, -20, DIN 70, 121, whatever you want. And as soon as EVerest becomes Chademo ready or what else, also this will just run the same way, that the charging station doesn't realize everything around it, it's fake. So we just got another question. So on the cost side, let's talk, Mark. We don't have final pricing on that yet. We probably will make it really cheap to scale, but have something like an entrance fee in order to cover our costs. Just to be clear, this is for us not a big profit center. We will charge a little bit money for that services here, but again, you can also build it yourself. But I think we made a decent job and make it really easy accessible for you. And scaling it up, yeah, I think it's not so much extra cost.
Quick question. How is it available already? Like, because we are discussing load testing solutions at the moment.
It's currently in an alpha and beta test phase. We'll publicly launch this in April, but some friendly users were already onloading here. So if you want, happy to do that.
Okay.
Let's get back to the slides, Martin, or any big thing you want to show? Probably not. So then let me go back to the Chrome tab, this one. Okay, that was the demo. So now we have the next section. We have quite a bit of things prepared. On this section, it's also again part for the whiteboard exercise. Would be great if you can add some of your comments here. We have maybe also another 10 minutes also to discuss something live on audio, on video, if you want to speak up. I really wonder, how do you streamline onboarding testings of new chargers? Can EVerest test setup reduce burdens for you here as a CPO? What features are you missing? How would you use those features? And yeah, as Martin, Mark, as we just discussed, are you interested in beta testing such a solution? And I promise the next section will have more slides, more deep dive into EVerest availability things. Okay, let's move on, and you can take further notes along the way. So next section is on requirements on better error codes that was raised last time. We'll start with a small recap, and I probably will ask Pete or Kai. I think Kai will present that today. What have we done so far on observing a charger from the cloud, and what kind of toolings and infrastructure there's in place in EVerest? Kai, do you want to take it off?
Yeah, sure. So, hello everyone. If you go to the next slide, that would be great. So just a quick introduction to basically the facilities for error reporting and handling in EVerest. So we call this the error framework within EVerest, which basically allows a module to raise a certain class of errors, and then other modules to react to these errors. Some modules also take a look at the basically global error bus and aggregate them, and then make decisions basically to stop a charging session or to report it via OCPP. There is some more in-depth explanation of what that error framework contains under this link, but on the next slide you can basically see the methods that you can basically use. Every implementation of a module can raise an error, it can clear an error, and somebody else can either subscribe to this error directly or globally to all of errors. What you can see here is the approach that we currently have in EVerest is like a state-based approach. So like a stateful errors that need to be raised and cleared. what we will probably add within the next couple of months is also like transient like error events that are more akin to, let's say, telemetry. So spurious errors that don't actually stay raised all the time, but that you can basically just say, okay, I encountered some form of mistake here. And on the next slide, you can see a graphical, basically rendition of how this typically works. On the right side, you have a driver module within EVerest that controls the control pilot, a power meter next to it, our EVSE manager running the charging state machine, subscribing to some of these errors, then raising its own error if it can see basically that something has faulted and it needs to go into an operative state, and this all gets hoovered up by the OCPP module that globally takes in all the errors and reports them to a CSMS. That brings us to the next slide. So one of our goals is to at least support the error codes in the MREC, the minimum required error code specification from the ChargeX consortium. Currently, we support like a subset of this and some other errors. And this can all be, like I already mentioned, reported via OCPP. How is this done? You can see that on the next slide. Basically, with the typical methods you would use via OCPP 2.x, for example, with this notify event message. We can map these errors to 3 components at the moment, like charging station, global errors, so to say, on an EVSE directly or on a connector, and we're planning on having more of this available in the near future, like some more advanced mapping of this. On the next slide, just a quick status on the OCPP device model, because this can also be used for some form of reporting. We do support like standardized variables and customized variables. Additionally to that, you can configure this basically that every EVerest module can have its configuration exposed via this device model as well, and this can all be mapped to a specific EVSE, for example. And this is one of those things where a lot more telemetry functionality and also error reporting functionality will be implemented in the not too distant future, I would say. All right. I think that's it from my side.
Yes, and then quickly, what I like to extend, what we also have available at Pionix on the commercial side is we have a small client which we can run next to an EVerest instance, which connects to EVerest, but also to the underlying Linux, and then reports EVerest status, EVerest log files, but also Linux systems, like which partition is booting back to a special manufacturer cloud, which we also white label. So in terms of you can configure EVerest, you get log file error analysis. You can help with over the update. And I think remote access is also something you can't get via OCPP. So like remote shell is already possible with advanced user authentication management, so that the charger is not remote accessible by SSH, but you can trigger him that he reaches out to you. And on top of that, this is kind of a sub-level complement how many charger vendors have that already in their portfolio. Very tailored to the DDoM underground logics. So the underground logics, and it's totally optional. but that's also available within the wider ecosystems. So, yeah, and white screen sharing is on the roadmap, that you can even access charger screens through that. Okay, back to the discussion section again. Again, you can speak up, or you can go back to the whiteboard. Yeah, some points you would love to understand is what is general experience with error detection, what typically breaks, and which is not covered by this detection. Are there any silent failures you're seeing right now, which not reported at all? Where's OCPP too slim? So or where is it maybe too vaguely defined? Then we see a lot of different error codes harmonization. I think that, we just quoted the MREC, which is like a North American initiative. I think there was something from Korea before. There was something really ancient from Germany, and then there's now something new going on in Sharon, and I think so now with 4 different harmonizations. So which is your most favorite harmonization? Yeah, was it helpful what we showed you? Yeah, please give us your feedback. I'm also happy if you speak up on audio, so just unmute yourself. Oh, someone moved that in front.
Yeah, so maybe I can speak up if you don't mind.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
so,
totally.
sure. So you mentioned that you, let's say, starts with the ChargeX MREC, but I think in the future there will be need of some extent to this. I mean, there is a basic set of error codes there defined, so I would expect to extend this, I guess. And what's your plan to extend it, and how to promote there's a set of error codes in the industry, or do you think MREC maybe is enough to work with, and there is no plan to develop this further?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? So the plan to?
Yes. So what is your plan for the error codes which are not included in the MREC? Would you like to specify them somehow, or just
So okay, so the idea of EVerest so far, and I very likely will stay that way, is that we don't want to be competition to Chara, to OCA, to MREC, ChargeX, to any of those. So we just try to be really good implementation of those standards. We would try to be partners to those. The problem what also we are facing is there's too many things to implement. So it's also a priority question. What do we implement first? And then we also need sponsors. So it's not like Pionix or I don't know, ChargeByte or whoever it is just donating all of that in their free time. There's typically like I don't know, either a customer demanding it and sponsoring it, or sometimes it's vendors who implement it on their own with their own engineers. So end of the day, we need a standard to follow and we need a sponsor to implement. And for sure, I'm pretty much sure we will also implement way other standards. When there is no standard, just EVerest will do its thing. Maybe others will pick it up. We saw that before, that Open Charge Alliance sometimes standardizes what we do before. When there's something was an unspecification, like you can do it this or that way, wasn't specified, and people realize that, then sometimes people look at like, oh, what is EVerest doing? Maybe we can just write that into the standard as default behavior.
Sure, thanks.
So yeah, happy to see more standardization effort in this field, but also happy to see people willing to put man hours forward to get it implemented.
May I ask a quick question, guys?
Sure.
I might be mistaken, but I think ChargeX minimum required error codes had a pretty low adoption. At least the last time I asked, it was like less than 1% of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what What do you think were the reasons and what will be different this time?
Honestly, I think there, and some other presentation have some slides that there's so many standards out there, so many requirements, vendors don't know what to do. And if you don't force them, it won't happen. I think in a way, by helping vendors to go to EVerest and then EVerest follow one of those requirements, we can drive the adoption up. I think EVerest was also one of the first, if I'm not wrong, ones who adopted MREC. But again, it's like, I think the industry is just flooded by too many standards. As we just mentioned, there's Charen, there's MREC, there was Korea. I think there was also an older Dean version. People just try to not drowning here in too many standards, too many requirements. I think by having that in EVerest, we can help everyone, either by them copying the code or they just looking at the implementation and getting inspiration from it.
Right, so you like lower the barrier to implementation. They can just either use or borrow from you.
Yes.
Okay,
this is one. And then if I don't know, Charen wants to make sure the new codecs get a better chance, let's work with EVerest and they can push it into the market themselves. I think this is also one idea from us, that we try to be a sandbox for others who can use our platform for pushing changes to the industry. Sure, it will be reviewed, but I don't know if a vendor like you or a CPO like you has a very particular interest in something to be realized. Also, you could sponsor that code and then all your supply chain is picking it up, maybe even by accident. So this is a new way of pushing things to the industry. I see people doing a lot of drawing and even adding photos. That looks interesting.
Hi, Marco. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So Anais from Charin. I wanted to say that we are really interested to discuss with you and align on our activities, obviously. And I wanted to say that also within Charin we have a strong focus on trying to align also with standards, and so our aim would be to align our work. I mean, I'm not only Charin one. I hope we align with everyone in the ecosystem. That's the main goal. But the goal is to also get feedback from standard organization and to make sure this aligns with these organization activities as well. So at the end, what's important here is that we are promoting interoperability also with our codes, and so that's why we are happy to work with you. There are really a lot of work to do, so I'm glad to see you are also making progress in this area.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, as I said, so for you, nice that you're in the room. So I've not even realized that, but you have heard what I said before. We don't want to compete with you. We just want to be the collection of all implementation of everything what's out there. But there's still too much out there. So others, typically the industry, makes a decision what goes into EVerest and what don't. Like as soon as we find a sponsor, things end up in EVerest, and by that then amplified all over the adopters. So it would be great.
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. While I let you all add more things, or maybe someone else want to raise a voice. Otherwise, can also go to the next section. Okay, then let's move on. Hope I'm sharing the right slide. I think I am. Okay, last section, just for the completeness of things, the EVerest Roadmap, what is planned for this year and how it was agreed in the community process. There's a lot of things implemented in OCP 1.6. There's a lot implemented in 2.01. I would say we're more or less feature complete. And 2.1, that's the main path going forward where people spend their effort on. And at the moment, it's like combining 1.6 and 2.x that you can have seamless version switching between those. We're working, community works on bidirectional power transfer, for example, Pionix a bit, and then there's Costal Compleo works quite a bit on that, but I think also others. Distributed energy resources control, and then roadmap is like the new authorization blocks and the remaining functional blocks. This is roughly the current goal. Then if anyone want to change that roadmap, just pick work up and get it done. So on a high level, you see there's this today looks short here on that list, but actually it's quite deep. If we go on the ISO roadmap, we have the -2 ready, we have the -20 ready for AC and DC, we have MCS ready. On -20, bidirectional DC is ready, bidirectional AC is work in progress. I think there's on DC some frequency control things. Megawatt charging, I think there's on low-level communication still some things to be merged in. And on -2, we have not implemented so far, which is like certificate, update, and smart charging, because no one needed that in the past. And then going forward, there's currently some discussion with the CharDemo Alliance, if and how we can implement that, probably under the umbrella of the IEEE 2030.1.1, because we got no implementation to implement CharDemo, but the IEEE 2030.1.1 is very, 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 very similar, that we don't have an issue to implement it. From a policy perspective, GBT is already some code in. We just need someone to write the connecting modules between the libGBT or libcharg, so it's called, and the remaining EVerest stack. We're rewriting the EV simulator currently in a more modern language. And then there's also on the -200 standards the first work starting. Energy management roadmap is, I think, a really, really hot topic. As it feels like, from a high-level standpoint, we're good on -20, we're good on -2, we're good on OCP, but now the hot topic we see from the vendors is the OCP 2.1 features and -20 features, which are needed for bidirectional energy transfer. We see EE-bus now getting integrated. We see SunSpec, there's an alliance to be announced soon. There's some discussion with the Meta Alliance. There's some things going on with OpenADR, with IEEE 2030.5. So this feels like the current biggest frontier on implementation in EVerest. Also here, what are you missing? What would you still love to see to be added? Just removing the cover. Let's go back to the whiteboard mode. It'd be amazing to see if you can give us hints. What from a CPO perspective would be crucial to have. And if you're not sure if you already have it or not, just write it down anyway. But this is like the current frontier. I think for public charging, there's, from our current perspective, probably nothing missing, but I could be wrong. Okay, then let's move on. Quick service announcement. We're currently discussing in the EVerest community a hackathon and a small conference in probably September timeframe between the ICNC and the LF Energy Summit. ICNC is the week before, LF Energy Summit is the week afterwards. We also in this applied for the Open Charge Alliance if they maybe want to co-host the Plugfest together with this event. We have not heard any yes or no. I think they're still waiting for other feedback. So everything is a bit tentative, but just for you saving the date, probably in this week there will be one shape or form an EVerest conference, particular on the focus on CPO versus charge point vendors collaboration around EVerest. One day more, let's say, the C-level decider format with talks and networking, and 2 other days on EVerest hackathon. And maybe we're also getting a Plugfest into the same location and time frame. We already did that 2 years ago. That was quite amazing. Would love to do it again. And particularly, I think on the last CPO forum, there was explicit wish that we try to meet in this group eventually next to a big conference, next to ICNC. The week after felt right. So this is why we picked that date. Okay. Before, maybe I will just quickly show you the last slide. The next EVerest CPO forum would be on 24th of March. Here you can see the Dale Up link and the registration form. So it's roughly, was it 5 weeks from now-ish, 6 weeks? But until then, we would love to discuss how we collaborate further. This meeting was quite intensively prepared by Pionix folks, but it don't have to stay that way. I mean, on the EVerest Technical Steering Committee, we already have a working mode where we're preparing slides across organizations. I typically volunteer together with Pete on bringing things together, but it's really a cross-organization effort, and maybe we can do the same things here. Yeah, and the question is, what topics should we plan for the next weeks? Who is interested in becoming a topic driver? Should we organize small groups around certain topics which are discussing things outside of the big plenum? Yeah, and again, face-to-face meeting planning for September. Save the date on inviting you there. And here, again, please speak up or put some notes down into Excalibur. Yeah, I would love to understand what topics should we prepare for next time, what deep dives are you looking for, what discussions you want to have, and who's willing to help, and on which level. And maybe a quick pulse check, I don't have it on the slide. Does anyone have objections on sharing recording on the CPO forum publicly, like on YouTube, as we do it also with other meetings, or should we try to keep this more private just among the participants? If anyone has a strong opinion one way or the other, please let me know. Initially, I thought on keeping it more private, but seeing how this evolves, I wonder if not, it would be okay to make it public, also the records. The meeting itself is already public. No further editing activity, and I don't see any other final words. I would like to thank you for the attention and for joining the meeting, and looking forward to see many of you and maybe a lot of new friends next time. And yeah, have a great evening. Talk to you soon.